What's up, tint tubers? Today I'm going to show you everything you need for window tinting, from your bottle all the way down to miscellaneous tools. I do a lot of window tinting for dealerships and car washes, and I also do the tinting here at my shop. So basically I have everything in here, and I would never be somewhere and not have something that I need. Everything is in that bag. So I'm going to go over all that for you and help you get started on possibly starting your own tint business. Actually, yesterday night and today we got about two feet of snow, and I'm definitely not having any customers here any day soon, because this is my whole shop entrance and there's drifts up to 3 feet. So this is what I'm doing today. I'm gonna make a video for you guys, and hopefully it'll help you in the future while you're learning how to tint windows. Now this is gonna be a little overkill because it's more stuff than you would need to begin, but I'm gonna show you everything, and I'm gonna point out everything that you're gonna need to begin. Alright, so first I'm just gonna start picking things out of this bag. The first thing, which is the most basic, obviously, you need your spray bottle. To me, this is one of the most reliable spray bottles I have ever used. I've had this for about 3 years. You can tell it's burnt from the heat gun. I've dropped it a million times. Sometimes it falls apart, but it clips right back together. And this is the Junior Pump Up. Now I'll go over what to put in this bottle. Basically, when you're tinting windows, you need a lubricant so the film will move around. So if you use regular tap water, and then right here I have soap, which is the Stop and Shop brand, just dishwashing soap. You don't want anything with scrubbing beads or anything like that. You want a really basic concentrated wash. This does not damage the glue of the tint at all. It doesn't damage the film or degrade the film. It's the best thing to use, second to the Johnson's Baby Soap. The Johnson's Baby Soap is too slippery in my opinion, and it makes it harder to squeegee out the film, because then you have the film sliding all over the glass. Now we're gonna go over here, and another basic thing. You want to have a rag to clean off the outside of the vehicle. That's what this one is perfect for. I got this from AutoZone. It's it's kind of like a chamois microfiber, so it's good for the outside of the car to wipe down the doors on the outside without scratching them. As long as you spray enough water, you won't scratch the paint with the dirt on there. So we have the soap, spray bottle, exterior rag, and then of course the interior towel. These are rewashed medical towels, which you can get probably by the hundreds off of eBay. They're not that expensive, and they're great for cleaning the windows. A lot of detail shops use these. So then we have the interior, exterior soap and spray bottle. Alright, now another basic tool is the heat gun. I'm going to leave this in here because it's all attached in there. But this is the most reliable heat gun that I have, the Wagner. They last a few months, and they rarely go bad within those 3 months. But if you're tinting enough windows and you have your own business and you're going to car dealerships every day and you're doing cars at your shop every day, any heat gun is going to go bad. So, but the Wagner, it has a warranty through Wagner, but I usually just go to Home Depot and buy a new one because they're like $30. Let's see what else we got in here. We got the whale tail, or how they call it on here, this, whatever it's called. I call this the whale tail. This is for getting behind really tight brake lights. I really don't use this. The tool that I do use for brake lights is the Automotive Bulldozer, which you'll see a lot of other YouTubers that do window tinting tutorials. They use the Automotive Bulldozer. And I will go over how to use this tool in many to come tutorials on the back window. As long as I'll also use this, the whale tail, just to show you guys this demonstration. But I use this, and I recommend this for just about any car. You don't have to take out the brake lights. Cars like a Chrysler 300, you really have no choice other than to cut out, because the brake light is directly against the window, and it's a pain. It's really a pain to remove that rear deck. And also 2000 and that style, body style Volkswagen Passats is the same thing with the brake light. Alright, now basically I'm not going to pull everything out of here, but I do have a tint meter. If you want to Google that model number, it's the GT992 Laser Labs tint meter. And basically you just slide it on the window. And if you have a lot of the newer cars are changing the percentages of their back windows, like the SUVs. So if I'm doing a Porsche where the tint is a 35% and it's the Porsche Cayenne SUV and the customer wants to match the back, I usually slip this on there and make sure that I'm putting the right percentage on the front doors if you can't really tell by eye. And this is also good for explaining to a customer how window tint is illegal. You can put it on their window and explain how the percentage is illegal and what's legal in your state as per state, obviously. I obviously have an invoice book for when I do mobile jobs. And another back window tool is the side swiper. This tool is good for after you've mounted down the back window. You use this tool around the sides, on the bottom of the back window, around the brake light, and then you would go to using the bulldozer. Let's see what else we got here. For cleaning back windows, if you have an older car and there's a lot of residue on the window, or you just want to make sure that the window's really clean, we have this scrubber. It even says scrubber on the back of it. It's the same style. It's the same style as the Automotive Bulldozer, so it's probably made by the same company. It just has a little Velcro pad here. And I get these blue non-score pads from Home Depot, and I don't even cut them out. I usually just stick it on there. And these are good for getting behind the brake light and around the bottom edges of the back window. And then I simply take this off and clean the rest of the back window with that pad. That takes any residue off, especially if the customer smokes in their car. That will take pretty much all of the residue off and give you a perfect install. Another thing I have in my bag is single edge 1-inch razors. These are always good to have, especially when you're stripping a lot of cars. I've made it a habit to use these on every car I do, even if it's a new car, because you never know if there was a sticker on that window and there's a little residue. Once you put on the tint, it stands out, and it makes, basically you have to redo it. It makes the tint look horrible. I have back here, I have a set of Allen keys. If you ever do a Maserati, you definitely need these to take off the door panel if you have to take off the door panel. The older body Maseratis. It's a pain. I have the US standard, and then I have the metrics back there. And then right here I have dryer sheets. Everyone has their different methods to doing back windows. I use dryer sheets. Some people wet shrink. Some people use a bar of soap. Also, again, I'll go over that when I do a back window tinting tutorial. That's just part of the back window tinting. For taking, I have extra tools back here like my yellow squeegee and just miscellaneous tools. Sometimes, most of the time I use those when I'm propping a door open like a Mercedes-Benz, where you have to keep the pin pushed in. I usually use those to keep the pin pushed down, just to stuff them in there. When you're removing door panels, this is a good tool to have, the trim popper. And then another back window tool. It feels like I have more back window tools than I do for any other tool. This is the clear pusher. This I really don't ever use unless it comes down to the point where all other tools fail. I use this because you can get into tight areas. It's not really a soft squeegee. I wouldn't even consider it a squeegee. It's more of a hard card. That's why I don't like to use it, because the chances of tearing are very high. So I wouldn't really recommend that tool. Of course, I have a ruler, which I use mostly for doing windshield strips. Any kind of tape measure would work. You can even get a little tiny one that measures 2 or 3 feet. Depending on if you're doing commercial work as well, then I would recommend that big one. I have various screwdrivers. And I also have this little kit right here. I got everything from Phillips head, flatheads, square tips, which you're not going to use in cars really at all. And then I have the Torx tips down here. Those you will use on a lot of the new Jeeps, and also on the GMs. They all have Torx tips in them. And even with the more modern cars. And this is my favorite tool right here. This is my Makita impact driver. This has a really nice quick release. You just pull back on the black part to insert or remove a bit, and then I always have the extension bit on, and I actually have this also, because these are the most common ones you're going to use for removing and reinstalling door panels. The Phillips head and the 10mm. Just about every car has a Phillips head, and all the other ones have the 10mm. And actually right here on this tip, this isn't it actually, this is for, this bit right here is most common for removal of the visor mirror on Chevys and Hyundais. This is actually a T15 bit. And most of the time I have the T25 or the 24, whichever one it is, because some of the Chevys, as I was saying, or which vehicle is it? The 2013 Jeep Grand Cherokee uses the Torx bit for behind the door handle. So that's why I have that. Let's keep this over here. Alright, I already explained the heat gun. Soon I'll grab my pouch out, and I got a bunch of tools in there, but I just want to add this in here. Obviously I use a Olfa blade holder. I actually have the red dot Olfa knife. It's not made by Olfa, but I call it an Olfa knife because they're all standard. You use Olfa blades. You always want to make sure you're using stainless steel blades. Basically this package right here is the stainless steel blades. If it looks any different, it's probably not. Stainless steel blades are less likely, not proven, but less likely to scratch glass. If you have a higher end car like a BMW or a Mercedes S550, you want to be really careful with the back window. Make sure you have a fresh blade. That's why I use this slide out. You can break off a fresh blade, and you don't have to really worry about scratching the window as long as you have the fresh blade and you don't press really hard. So there we go. We have the blades and the Olfa knife. And this you can also change left and right hand, which I like about this. Many of them do that, but this is just my favorite knife, so I'm going to give props to that. And we'll go to my pouch here. Obviously it says Solar Guard because that's what I use. I've always used Solar Guard, and I'm just going to pick random things out of here. This right here is a bone gasket jammer. That's what it's called in the inventory from the place that I get it from. I don't know why they call it that. But you can use this, obviously, to jam gaskets down across the bottom of a door. I just don't know why the word bone is in it. As you see me make tutorials, I will obviously explain the tools that I'm using, and I'll show you exactly how to use that tool. Now in here we have the gold card. This is mainly used for, I mainly use this for shrinking on the exterior of a window. This I use for back window shrinking and shrinking the doors before I apply them and after I cut them out. Right here we have a little silver card. I use this for shrinking on the inside of the glass. because when you're shrinking on the outside, the clear is facing you, and it doesn't matter if you scratch the clear. This gold card will scratch the clear, and it will scratch the tint if you use it on the inside. So that's why I use that on the outside, because it doesn't matter if you scratch the clear release, because that's going in the garbage anyway. This one is much softer, it's a lot more flexible, and this will not scratch it, and it will form to the window as you press and shrink fingers on the inside of the glass, if there are any. Let's see what else we have in here. The turbo squeegee. This squeegee is really good for beginners, basically for every use, for mounting it on the outside and also for applying the film on the inside. I have it cut this way because that's just how I'm used to doing it. I'm used to the top being a little bit longer. Most of the time they're angled in on both sides. It doesn't really matter how you cut it, it's just to your preference really. The way I get it actually is obviously in a longer piece than this. It comes just like that, and you cut it into sections with your offal blade or whatever kind of cutting device you want to use. But this is mainly, I use this mainly to clean the inside of the window after I've washed it with a towel, and then I wipe the excess dirt off. I squeegee the excess dirt off with the water with this, and then I use this also for applying the back window. I see many people using, where is it? I see many people using the Blue Max or the Clear Max to applying the inside of the back window. Now the only problem, and this is my opinion, everyone has their own opinion, is that the Blue Max doesn't form around the defroster lines like the turbo squeegee does. The turbo squeegee is really flexible. It's really soft, as you can tell, and as you're pushing on the back window, the rear window, it forms to the defroster lines and it gets all of that water out. Now if you're using this on the back window, it's really hard, it's really straight, you can tell, and as you're pressing it doesn't form to those defroster lines. So I'd recommend this for first time users, for everything, every use. Once you've been tinting for a while, upgrade to the Blue Max, and as you learned, you'll create your own method, and then you'll learn to love this. But this is very forgiving. This is not very forgiving. This will crease windows if you're not careful or you're not experienced enough. Another tool we have is the Easy Reach. This is the Easy Reach Gold. There's an Easy Reach Platinum also, which is the same color as this. Obviously you can tell gold is harder than the silver is. So this is a harder Easy Reach, and they tend to scratch windows. So I have a whole bunch of these in a box. You see how the tips bend. It's not worth using one like this. I obviously have to replace it. They scratch windows, and that is a nightmare for a window tinter because you have to redo jobs. You don't want people coming back. So this is for getting down the sides of the windows, getting the edges nice and dry, get all the liquid from in between the soapy water from between the film and the glass on the sides. And then we have the pink card. This card is probably 45 cents from most distributors, and this is called a little chiseler. I call it a pink card, it's pink, but it's really called a little chiseler. This I use for after I've applied the film and I've squeegeed it out. I use this to work out any little dirt marks that aren't serious, and it's just a little dust mark. You can work it out. Again, I'll go over how to do that on my next tutorial on how to tint a car, and I'll specifically go over each tool other than the mechanical tools. Those are pretty obvious. I'll go over the tint tools and exactly how to use them. Now these are all the tools that are in my bag. This is all you need. I'd recommend these tools. The little chiseler, the Easy Reach Platinum or the Gold. I would go with the Platinum for beginners. The Blue Max, Turbo Squeegee, the Silver card, the Bondo type card, and then the Gold card. And I also recommend the white gasket jammer. You can wrap the towel around this, and as you can tell on my first video that I have up, the how to professionally tint a car door window, I wrap the towel around this, and you run this down the sides, and that will take all the dirt from the sides that you can't reach with your fingers, obviously, because you can shove the towel in there with this. And then, of course, the OFA blade and replacement blades. Now, I do also recommend that you get the, where did I put it? The bit set, obviously. Here, I have one over here. This is obviously a bigger one, but I do recommend you get a kit like this, because you'll never know, unless you're only doing your car, then just use what you have, but you never know what you're going to need, and this is always a good thing to have. And then obviously, if you're doing a lot of cars, the impact driver will help you out, and it goes a lot faster than just about any other portable screw gun. And it's battery rechargeable, it's tiny, it's like the size of my hand. And then obviously get the socket set too. And you have all the attachments in here, just it's missing because I'm using it. Let me make sure I haven't missed anything else. Obviously you want a drop light for cutting out back windows. You never know when you're going to do limo tint on a car and you can't see the dot matrix to cut the line. And then I have this tape. I just usually throw it on the driver's door switch, and I lock the windows when the customer, just so the customer doesn't roll the window down accidentally. Black marker, I don't know why I have that in there. That is not ever used. And I just have miscellaneous hook tools. It's always good to go to Home Depot and get a hook tool set. It's good to have right angles. I use these for taking the covers off of from behind the driver's, the handles on the door. If you're going to take the door panel off, these are good. And then the actual hook tool. And then little screwdrivers. Just miscellaneous things, because you'll never know what you're going to need. I have an extra gasket pusher in here, because I always lose those. A pair of pliers. And then just a socket driver, because you'll never know if you have to do it by hand, if your battery dies. That's also why I have the screwdriver itself. If the battery dies in this, I'm not screwed, because I have this, and then I have the socket driver too. I went over the trim popper. And one last thing that I will show you is this little tool right here. I got this from Zola Distributors. The cool thing about it is it has, I don't know if you can see it, the little blade right there, a little break off from the OFA blade, and it's sitting up right there. You can take these and actually hold it and resharpen it. Say that you mess up the edge, you can see that this has pretty much a perfect edge, because I always sharpen them. These really don't cost that much money, but over time, just simply sharpening the blade on the Teflon card, not the Teflon card, the gold card, it does minimize the amount of orders you have to place for new tools. As you can tell, this is really straight. These don't come straight like that. They usually have a beveled edge. But I've been straightening them, and I have a whole box of tools that I haven't even touched because I've been straightening them. The only tools I really replace are these two right here, because this one always gets too hot from the heat gun and melts, and it gets worn down, and then this one ends up scratching windows. The bone gasket jammer, this thing's all torn up, but it still keeps going. Alright, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask any questions in the comments, or you can message me, and I'll be more than happy to help you with anything. Alright? Peace out. Yep, this is what I gotta deal with. I have no work, and I've got 2 feet of snow on the ground, all in my shop. And this is never gonna melt. The Stupid plows made piles of snow right here. This is supposed to be a road, and it's pretty much screwed. Alright guys, I'll see you later. It's time for me to go.